Hey folks, so sorry it's been a little while since the last one, but house move's getting pretty hectic and I'm getting quite packed. The room's looking a bit bare, as you can see, but I wanted to talk about the now rumoured, but no longer rumoured, Fujifilm X-M5, which has actually been announced. You've probably seen a few reviews of it. Now I've watched quite a number of them and I've read quite a bit about the camera, and it in some respects reminds me of a camera I used to have, which I really liked, apart from the fact that the autofocus on it was dreadful, which was the Fujifilm X-A7, and it kind of lacked a lot of the retro-y features, but it had a wonderful screen. And we'll more on the screen later, because there are some criticisms of the X-M5. However, I've dug around a lot of the photography equipment that I'm not really using much, and have sold or can trade in enough to actually pre-order an X-M5. So I've actually pre-ordered one, and you might wonder why. Well, this video I want to discuss based on the reviews I've seen. Obviously I haven't seen the camera and that'll give me my final decision, but I have enough experience of Fujifilm cameras to know roughly how this one will handle, having used an X-A7 as well, and using a Sony ZV-1. I also know what to expect from a camera that doesn't have a viewfinder and have one that's video focused. So one of the things I've always wanted and what I've enjoyed with the ZV-1 is a super portable camera, but I can't change lenses. And I do take my Lumix S5 II with me sometimes. It does fit in my motorcycle tank bag, but it's a big camera and I don't like to bounce it around a lot on the bike, or I'd rather pack it in different luggage. I can take my XS20, it's a lot smaller, but again, I don't like to bounce the camera around because it's got the IBIS mechanism, and, you know, maybe when you're going on, you know, that kind of vehicle, it's not always ideal. And I like to take a camera when I go running, because sometimes I'll stop, there might be a nice sunset, and I want to have a nice camera with me, better than a mobile phone to take a picture, so I usually take my ZV-1. Now first, quickly, the ZV-1, great camera, really good image quality, 1-inch sensor. Biggest problem is it's tiny. Although its biggest advantage is its size, and it's very good at what it does. It's very fiddly to change the aperture, put it in manual mode, do exposure compensation. And this is where the Fuji camera comes in. And one of the things that sold it to me was it is small and compact, but it's crucially got that dial on the left, which is an unmarked dial, which can be used or customized for, you could have ISO or you could have exposure compensation on it. And this really makes it quite versatile for configuring the camera in quite a tactile way. It also has a front dial, which can be pressed in to toggle between changing the shutter and the aperture. Great if you want manual mode. And of course you've got a flippy screen, which is ideal for getting those low shots. Now one criticism of the flippy screen is it's only 1 million dot resolution. This is similar to, well, it's the same as the Sony ZV-1. But when you think a £500 camera that was released probably around 2018, 2019, had a glorious 2.7 million pixel, 3.5-inch screen, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't put a high resolution screen on it for the money they're charging, which is £900. But it's something I can live with, because I've managed with the ZV-1 and the low resolution screen, and it's enough to compose an image, and I have to wear glasses to compose an image anyway. So I don't know if it affects people who've maybe got better eyesight than I have, who can see crystal clear, but even when I've got my glasses on, it's not perfect, and I can get away with it, and it lets me compose shots. And to be honest, if I'm cycling or running or doing anything like that, or on a motorcycle, I'm not going to be able to necessarily put the camera up to my eye. I might have a crash helmet on, or I might have my cycling helmet on, and there's stuff on my head in the way. But I want a camera that I can just quickly, you know, I can get my glasses out, I can squeeze them into a crash helmet, so I can put them on and quickly, or hold it at arm's length even, because I can see things this far away. if I put something arm's length, I can still see and compose the shot. So I don't always even need my glasses unless it's like really close and I want to take my time with the shot. So I can live with that. It would have been nice if they'd had an option to add an LCD. So if you can put up with those shortcomings and you're looking at something which you can change the lenses on, that's a little bit of an upgrade from the Sony, then, you know, it might be a camera that you would consider. But I wouldn't necessarily rush out and get it because wait until I've picked one up. I'm like the trailblazer. Somebody has to be first to get something and then worry if it was a bad decision or not. Sometimes you've got something, and it was like when I got the XA7, there were a lot of things I liked about that camera. But I think its Achilles heel was it had terrible audio input. So you could plug a mic in, but the audio quality was not great. There was a lot of noise and hiss. I hope the audio today is better because I've had a good play around. I've had my headset on. Definitely the input on my S5 is no noise that I can hear. But remember, I have very bad tinnitus, so I'm to the point of almost I'm hearing impaired. So I can't hear hiss. So remember, apologies if you can pick up noise or hiss on the video recordings. A few people commented on the last video potentially having noise. I do have hearing problems. I can't always hear quiet noises, so I might not be able to edit the sound to everyone's taste or liking because I can't hear as well as a lot of people. Literally, all I can hear at the minute in my ears is ringing, very loud ringing. So I do my best, but I just wanted to put that in there because we're talking about audio. Now, generally speaking, the S20 has a very good audio input stage, not quite up there with the Lumix S5, but it's still pretty good. And I've done recordings on it and not really noticed any issues myself. I have no doubt in my mind that they've used pretty much the same, they'll probably use the same internals because it's still, they'll find a way to put the same circuit board. Because why would you design a separate circuit board with the X-Process 5 on and put it in that camera unless you needed to shrink it? And really, there isn't a lot of difference between the size of the XS20 and the XM5 if you take the battery grip hump off the XS20. It's quite a small camera. And I think, you know, it's the size of the XS20 that sort of made me think, you know, would this camera be good for me for traveling? And could I get away with, well, with doing it for hiking? And you can. Now, some things that can be quite difficult are areas where you have to manual focus. And manual focusing can be tricky. I think what I would like to see Fuji improve. I was doing some astrophotography the other day, and the peaking isn't always easy to see. And when you set the camera to infinity, it's not always at infinity. Whereas on my Lumix camera, if I set that to infinity, I can guarantee you that that is at infinity. And it's going to be in focus. And it's quite handy for landscapes if you don't want to use the autofocus to set the camera to infinity so it's at fixed focus. Generally speaking, though, I probably wouldn't be using a camera like the XM5 for astrophotography. And I think that's an area where it's going to struggle somewhat. But it's not designed to be that kind of camera. It's designed to be the camera that, you know, you're going on a hike and you don't want to lug a huge amount of equipment with you. You just want to take a little lightweight 80 to 300 lens and you want to do some casual photography. It will be a great street photography camera where you just wanted to walk around with a really indiscreet camera, put a pancake lens on it, have something super compact like a 27mm TD Artisans or something similar. Come on, Fuji, release a 23mm f2 pancake lens. You know you can do it. Probably not f2, it'd probably be f2.8, But that would be great, I think, if we got something like that to go with this camera. And I think this is where the camera is probably going to excel, because essentially it's got the same capabilities as the other entry-level Fuji cameras. So I have my computer in front of me here. So it's got the same mechanical shutter, 4,000th of a second maximum, and the same electronic shutter limitations, 1/32,000th of a second. Let's have a look and see what else it does 8 frames per second when shooting in burst mode, which is the same as the XS20. It can actually buffer quite a lot of frames. If it uses compressed RAW, it's 82 frames. But JPEG, 173 frames, is pretty impressive. That's a better buffer than the X-T5 has a really dreadful buffer. I'm pretty certain the X-T5's buffer is smaller than that. But yeah, I think the X-T5 can only get about 25-30 frames. So let's have a look. Lossless compressed RAW, 41 frames. That's slightly better than the X-T5. So that is very, very impressive. It's slightly lower on the mechanical shutter. Lossless compressed RAW, 38 versus the 41. And JPEG is 173 frames, which is what most people will be shooting, because of course we got the film stimulation dial. Oh, I have to get a bit in about that. The jury's still out for me on that. I can see it being useful as a casual camera. It's like changing the film type. I think on more premium cameras you might get a sort of little LCD in there. I think that would be cool. And I still hope we get an xpro 4 out one day. I definitely have one of them. But certainly with a pancake lens on, it's going to be a pocketable camera. And I think I would use the film simulation dial. I'd probably shoot RAW plus JPEG, because I might even just shoot JPEG, but part of me always wants to have the RAWs just in case. But I think if I have a camera that maybe I force myself to shoot JPEG only, just for fun camera, maybe I'd enjoy the film simulations more. And I think, again, a lot of my channel's being built on providing content that I think JPEG shooters enjoy. And I think, again, if you're a JPEG shooter, you enjoy film simulations, and you don't want to delve into fiddly menus, as much as I'm not keen on the film simulation dial, I will be a hypocrite and use it. And I think a lot of people will enjoy having it. And of course, when you're filming video, it's a pretty good idea, because you can just change, click, click, click. It's there. It's the idea of this camera, I think, is to make it easy to use. Like, you know, half the time you assign custom buttons on cameras, and you're like, what do they assign the custom button to again? Eventually you remember. But this camera just doesn't have the custom buttons, but it's got just enough to be a decent first camera, or a backup camera, or a fun camera. And that's exactly what I wanted. I found the ZV-1 did everything, and I do like the camera, and it takes great pictures, and it's a great video camera. And I will miss its small size, but I won't miss its dreadful battery life, which will be better than the X-M5s, but we'll come on to batteries in a minute. And I won't miss its fiddly controls and its poor touchscreen implementation. And the Fuji seem to have actually improved the touchscreen from implementation from the vlogging. I still think they should have put that higher res screen on and a slightly bigger one, but we can't have everything. Maybe the XM6 will have that, once they've ironed out all the potential issues. But then I said the battery, and I had a load of those NP126s, I think they are. I had a ton of them in the drawer, and I sold them. When I sold them, I said, X100V, I had like 4 batteries spare. 2 of them were Fuji, 2 of them aftermarket. I thought, oh God, these have been sitting collecting dust, and they'll be ruined if I ever use them again. And here I am pre-ordering a camera that uses those batteries. So I'm going to have to get new batteries, because it doesn't use the larger battery that the XS20 and the X-T5 and all the other cameras use. I think it's the W235, and I wish it did, because that battery just lasts forever. And, you know, I suspect they could have fitted in making the grip just a little bit bigger, but maybe that's not what the camera was about. It was about compact size, and the compromise was the battery. And it's not a big deal to carry a couple of those batteries in another pocket and just swap them out, because it's not as if it's going to run out at a critical moment when you're doing a pro job. It's not a pro camera. And it's not going to run out after about 3 seconds like the ZV-1 did, because the batteries on that were tiny. So again, it's a little bit of a criticism. I do wish they could have put in a better battery, but I can live with the battery in there. Again, it's something I was willing to live with. I'm really glad they've put a hot shoe on, so we can have flash, because people enjoy having fun with flashes. There's a lot of retro flashes out there that people would want to use. I like the idea where they've put the mic jack on the back of the camera. I think that keeps it out of the way of the flip screen. Unusual, but proof of the pudding would be using it. And we also have a headphone socket, really good for checking your audio out, that I'll be doing more often just to be sure. And that's pretty much all the things I like about it. So if we just go down and go through a few more of the options it's got, we've got 4K 60 video recording. We've got internal log. I don't think they would ever give us this, and it's a shame because phones have got internal ProRes, but it would be great if they could give you internal ProRes. The S5 IIX, I'm recording in ProRes. So there's that. But I'll live with F-Log. And again, most people, to be honest, on this camera won't be needing that. But you know, you would get people using it as a B camera. So, you know, I'd really hope they would add ProRes internally to these cameras at 1080p. Now, the problem for the XM5 that the XS20 doesn't have is that ProRes might be a bit of a struggle internally because of the bit rates, and it's only a UHS-1 card internally, whereas you've got UHS-2 cards internally on the XT5 and the XS20, and you can, in theory, do 4K 30 in ProRes LT on a UHS-2 card. I think the bit rate does just about work, but the 1080p would work on a UHS-1 card just. I think it could just work. But it's got external ProRes and B-RAW, so you could just attach it. I honestly don't see many people using that apart from potentially filmmakers, but most people will just record F-Log, which is fine. 200 megabits, it's got the low bitrate options, 25 and 8 megabits, which is actually really cool for run and gun stuff. If you just want to do really quick low-res stuff to quickly get upload and lightweight processing on your computer, that's really good. Vertical video as well, which is becoming more popular. Not a huge fan, but I can see it being good for shorts. I can do shorts in a Turner, yeah, which you can't do in a phone. Knock yourself out, phone users. And I think we've covered all of the videos. Oh, yeah. One thing I forgot. 6.2 gate open gate. Now that was a surprise. Again, very good for if you want to do vertical videos and crop afterwards, or 4K videos and do sort of zooms afterwards, or zoom in on a focus point on the image. 6K is really good for that. Up to 200 megabits bitrate, which fits with the UHS-1 card. The UHS-2 is required with that. I wish they had put a UHS-2 card in it, but they didn't. But if they had, you know, I think it's product separation. If you'd had internal ProRes, it's too close to the XH2S, although that has a compact, the CF Express cards, which are a bit different altogether. And just going right through, so we've got, of course, the reality film simulation, which I do like. And the rest is pretty much similar to all the other Fuji cameras you get. And it can be used as a webcam. So there you go. That's all the specs gone through. I'm just whizzing through the page. Yeah, everything. Micro HDMI out. Oh God, can't we have full HDMI? Not in a camera that small. So I think it comes in about a month. That's when they're released. So I'll let you know when it comes out. And just to go back what I opened with, folks, sorry about videos coming out a bit more slowly. I'm literally living out of boxes now because I'm so close to moving house. So it is disrupting the process. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments of this camera and whether it's one that you would consider buying. What you think of the camera now it's been released. Jump on the Fuji website and take a look at the camera. Do you think this is going to be popular like X100V? Is it going to have a renaissance in cameras over smartphones? Discuss in the comments below. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks, and I will catch you all soon. Don't forget to like the video if you got value from it, and of course, click the bell for notifications and subscribe if you want more content. I'll see you all later. Bye.